chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, happy Thursday and good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and it's a pleasure to be back and to bring you another informative episode. Despite me being solo, I depend on you. Yes, this episode, I want to speak directly. Let me get this out right now. I want to speak directly to the heartbeat of our islands, and that is our young people. Not the polished profiles that we post when they win awards, not the token voices we showcase at ceremonies. I'm talking about the real, raw, everyday youth and everybody else in between. The ones navigating rising rent, watching their parents struggle, limited opportunities, and a future that sometimes feel more like a question mark than a promise. And we say that they're the future. But are we honestly and actually listening to them in the present? Now, I've heard whispers from the quiet frustrations, the loud silences, and I mean, it's loud. Young Caymanians are asking, because I have been involved with them for years, where do we fit? Who's fighting for me? Is there space for my dreams here at home? But this evening, I'm not bringing guests or experts. Just me, this mic, and every one of you. Because I want to hear from parents, from you, the regular participants, but I also want to hear from the youth. I want to hear from even mentors, even employers. I want to hear from everyone and anyone who has ever felt unseen, unheard, or underestimated. Because if we're really serious about building a Cayman that lasts, we need to start by listening to the voices that will carry it forward. So join in on the conversation no matter where in the world you are. Call in direct or even on WhatsApp. 345-936-8255 is the number to call. Feel free to drop a comment. Tag someone who needs to be a part of this conversation, because this isn't just a show. It's a space. And this evening, it belongs to every one of you. This episode of Sabrina Speaks is proudly brought to you. And today, guess what? Today's actually the 39 years. You know, Edward started celebrating a week before. It is proudly brought to you by International Lighting. Yes, today is actually the celebration day. 39 years of lighting up the Cayman's homes, hearts, and hopes. And the celebration is, I said today, I know he got cursed me. I did not get down there for the birthday cake. I did not get down there for the pizza. Not that I need it, but you get my point. And the anniversary sale continues as well for the rest of this week. So you got an hour to go. Hurry down to International Lighting. Maybe you can eat my leftover cake or a leftover pizza. I don't know, whatever he has down there, but down at International Lighting. And while you're getting some of the snacks that he may be having, stock up on area rugs, bed and bag sets, and much, much more while supplies last. And while you're investing in your space, let's invest in our youth. Let's listen, let's uplift, let's encourage, because their future is our legacy. So go down to Edward Miller and his team at Ed's Plaza. That's 194 North Sound Road. They're open Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or give them a call, 345 949 8211 or 345 949 5141. I know I see you guys just commenting there, but you know what? Let's do this and get this one. Share the good news, because I always love to share good news. Yes, but we like to have real conversations as well. And you know, the missing teen, Miss, I want to call her Tashina Williams, on the 16th of September, she was reported missing. And this photograph that I have of her, I'm up here with her. I'm pleased to say that the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service is now updating and is reporting that she is no longer missing. She has been located, and they want to thank the public for all of your assistance in this matter. This is something for us to celebrate. As the Cayman Islands, you know, as a whole, we have to give thanks when things like this happen and we got good stories. And we don't want to take any of these missing persons come in, no matter what age, you know, for granted, because it only takes one. It only takes one. So, yeah, congratulations to all of those persons who participated, and kudos, hats off to our Royal Cayman Islands Police Service for their participation as well. But let's see, Connie, you're the first one here this evening to comment, and I'm expecting your feedback as usual. Good evening, Marshall. It is always a pleasure to have you in the house. Amen to what? You got to tell me what that is, Connie. Connie. Shaka Zulu, what's up? What's up, my friend? How are you? O'Neill, good evening to you. Yes, and that's right. Happy birthday to Eddie down there. He wish you were 39. No, you know, that's the business. But he could kill me. Connie, he's going to kill me because I have not gotten to him today. And I should be ashamed of myself. But, you know, sometimes honesty is the best policy. Yeah. There we go. Abby Bodden, good evening and welcome to class. I'm hoping that you're always participating as well, because there's no guest today, but the topic about, are we truly listening to our youth, is one that I want to bring up, and I'm creating this space exactly for everyone. But it's just me, the mic, and every one of you. The phone lines are open, and you can join in on the topic. Hi, Shaq. How are you? Always good to have you guys in class. There we go. Long time I didn't do this. Let me put this one up because I need to set the pace, because the bottom, what's on the cup, is key. It says, Happy Thursday. Take a moment to be grateful for the new day and all the positive things it brings. And even though we are at the end of a day, we still got to give thanks, because somewhere else around the world that is streaming this, they're waking up. We know our people over there in the Philippines, they are waking up. Australia, yeah, there we go, because we got them all over the world that are tuning in to Sabrina Speaks. So the key takeaway here, I want everybody to do, and especially our young people who feel sometimes that they're not heard, they're overlooked, they're not appreciated, that I want them to believe in themselves. Yesterday was so motivating. Yesterday was so inspiring, that, you know, I was just so happy for Christopher in that conversation. It'll always be with me, to be honest with you. Amen to you, your mic, and us. Thank you, my love. What's Shaq saying? Would love for you to do a segment on women in politics. I would love to. What your experience was amongst men and navigating the inequalities. It would be my honor, but I can't be host. Shaq, it would be my honor. I would be very candid, but it would be nice to have other persons, be it regionally. And Shaq, you know what? Maybe I can try to work on that. Maybe if I can get some regional persons as well, but local and regional, so that we can look and not just limit ourselves to what the environment is locally. It would be my honor, because I don't think not people don't understand that it is a different world. It's a different lens for the female to be in a male dominant environment. And just look at the results of elections. Look at them and look at the statistics of what gender shows up to the polls and vote. So it kind of makes you wonder, why are even women, based on statistics, whose numbers go to the poll to vote, still voting men? But yet we're calling for more women to be at the table. Let that sink in. I have my own versions, whether or not it's too early after an election and people still thinking that I'm crying. Oh God, they got out wrong. But I would love to, Shaq. I would love to, but it would be good to even have maybe some of the females who ran and weren't successful to just come and just do a nice discussion. I love this space where we could do live podcasts like this, that you don't have to leave your home. You can do it from the comforts of your office or your home. Shaq, I could take you up on that, but let's see who takes the bait, because that's another thing. Some of us are so small-minded that instead of them looking at what this space can do, what we can open up ourselves to in a positive way, to engage in meaningful discussion, educate, empower, that I find that being small in number, but I'm not going to give up on it, Shaq. I'm not. I'm going to openly reach out to persons to see if they would want to come here and speak. I had Mr. Roy Bodden on, and it's persons like them who are pretty much very candid, unapologetic, has accepted what life has actually given them and embraced their walk, have actually had reality of themselves, are loving themselves, and can honestly sit and have a conversation without getting at each other. Even if it becomes a little emotional, because you have to sometimes go back in time in order to paint that verbal picture of what the environment is, the good, the bad, the ugly, the doubts, Shaq. It's not too many people that can do that. And again, one of the disadvantages of this in a small island state like ours, many people based on their jobs are fearful of speaking the truth. And we have brought this up many times on this platform, that people are blackballed. Your life can change in an instant if you even run for political office. Your life can change in an instant if you don't even get elected. Your life can change in an instant if you're not aligned with the correct party. We see what's happening in the United States. I'm not even going there. But we need to take a deeper dive into possibly why more women aren't running for political office, and why our culture is that way, why society is that way, with real statistics. And if it comes up proving that more women are still showing up to the polls, that is what is even more worrisome. But I'm glad that you actually went there. Abby, I think the most discouraging thing to the young generation is that the housing ladder is too far out of reach to many, and disappearing from the middle class. That's in general, Abby. That's in general. And this is why, we constantly talk about, we want to create a space, a safe space for our young people. But when you look at bringing that up for those even who go away for school and come back and having to live in and be in the homes with their parents, and seeing the real struggles of their parents, having to fund them to go through school, and then coming home trying to contribute to society in a meaningful way, and they can't even get, their one foot in the front of each other. I have a 25, 26-year-old who's trying, I know, to try and get out on his own as well. And the struggle is real. And my two children have always wanted to make it on their own. They didn't want to be on mom's frock tail because of the name that their mother has made for herself in the community by being always in the public's eye, I swear, from day one. but they want to accomplish things. Both of my boys just don't want to be saying, oh, I only got this because my mom is Miss Sabrina. No, they were two go-getters and they wanted to, but even them are struggling. Even them are struggling to find their way. Isle 2025, Cayman is the land of small minds. Yes. No, I can be honest with you. It's not that I'm not trying. And it takes a lot, Island 2025, to come here, to do this, to remain focused, to remain with the eye on the prize, understanding that I have to live here, be amongst other persons, and see it through a different lens while I was in political office. And now that I'm no longer in political office, you can't unknow what you know. You can't unsee what you've seen. And then you still have to present. So yeah, Aisle 25, it is, there are some adjectives that I could use, but I'm just being very diplomatic right now. And some have the most to say, but they bring the least to the table. And that's not being small-minded. That's not being petty. That's just being real. And I don't really feel that as a jurisdiction, we have created a space where persons can actually have grown-up conversations, be very candid without being labeled as, a hurt person or an angry person, or they're not getting their way. Which goes back to exactly what you say, small minds. They don't see the forest for the trees. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of vindictiveness. Oh, that's on steroids. And it's actually comical, to be honest with you. Can I suggest you bring a realtor? That's in the working. And I got two, either two or three lineup. Can I suggest you bring on a realtor or two? Yes. Caymanian and expat. Isle 2025, I got two. I got double check the nationality because, girl, I don't look at all of that. But I know one for sure is a Caymanian, like what we call generational Caymanian. I find that very difficult trying to break it down. But that show is coming next week. It's a blooming market, and for the rich, stressful market for us average Caymanian folks. Aisle 2025 further says, yes, I'm currently renting a tiny apartment from a relative. I've been asked to leave several times, but I have nowhere else to go. I bought land with a loan, but can't afford to build now. Whew, that's such a real story for so much. I have immediate family who just struggled, had property, when they got the opportunity to use their pension to pay off the property. Thank God this is a celebratory case, was just recently approved for their house. But after being told, you got to sell your car. Hold on, this was when they first was told, we can't give you, although you paid off your house, what they would have needed to build their own home from scratch would have been so much, they still wouldn't have qualified. And even if they had qualified, they would have had to sell their own means of transport to get back and forth to work. This person is single, has no children, and would have had to pretty much find like other persons to sign for them. They never gave up. They were depressed. They felt deflated, but then they got more advice from persons in the industry that allowed them additional information, gave them more information as how to present their scenarios. Because what was interesting, when they went on their own at first to speak to a loans officer, the said loans officer was willing to give them the car, brand new car, number two, and a credit card. But when they went to try and purchase a home, that the amount was within a certain amount, they pretty much were saying, no, can't help you. But the individual, my family, did not stop there. They went back, they pleaded their case, and guess what? This is one success story. They now got through. So the first door or second door that slams in your face, Island 2025, don't stop there, because there are loans officers who are accommodating, who are willing to work with you. And there are opportunities out there, there are options out there. So my advice to you, with a real story that is still very new, the ink isn't even dried on the commitment paper, is to not get up. And don't be scared to go and shop. Shop around with the different banks. Don't just stop at one financial institution. Even if you don't have a banking relationship with another institution, don't be scared to go in. They're all shopping right now, I'm telling you. They're hungry for customers. And if you don't have a horrible credit history and you present yourself and you have a stable job and all that sort of stuff, every one of them will listen to you right now. Yeah, I can understand, my love. It's been depressing and I'm scared. Whew. Just holding on to hope something will give. Isle 2025, I am telling you. Do not let one door or one window or the second window or the third door that's closed. You just need to reshuffle some things. Don't give up. They try to frustrate you, but you do not give up. Go back, even if you've exhausted all of the financial institutions already. Reassess. There are people out there that can give you advice that you can probably present your figures. Or let's say you even go to the bank and you're not pleased with the way you've been treated with that accounts officer. You can always ask for a senior member of staff if they could reassign you to somebody else, because you don't feel as though you have been given due care and attention. You don't want to feel like a number. And I don't think we do that enough. It's just our culture, 2025. But don't stop. Jack, I love how you explained and broken that down. I believe the discussion would be insightful and could open our minds to the reality that women face and have to endure. Yeah, Jack, and it was new for me. I went in to politics, and I went in honestly as I am right now. Open, positive, busting at the seams to make a change. And I see so much of this in looking at what's happening in the region with their new candidates who have been elected first time to political office. You literally go in there wanting to make a change. And once you get in there, you see there's something else. But you have to have your ego in check. And I have always been that person on the ground anyhow, Shaq, for over 10 years. I just enjoy doing stuff in the community. So there was no hidden agenda for me, but it's the mechanics, the operational of things, and the gelling of different personalities, that you may not be a part of a party that differs. But I will give you that promise that once I can get persons, females, to come and speak, I would be more than happy to. But one of the biggest things that I learned in that role, Shaq, is the power of not losing sight of yourself, because it's quite easy to let your ego overtake. It's quite easy to skirt around the truth in order to either save face or to preserve popularity in your constituency or to try and please everyone. And you see, when you find yourself going down that road, you fall for anything. And the minute you stand up for principles, that's when you see. And it took a lot. It took a lot to just stand. And many a times you are alone. You are alone because you stand for what's right, contrary to what outside may see. And there are just certain things you would never be able to speak about, because that's the oath of confidentiality that you take. But I don't think people realize, speaking from my own self, the freedom. The only one comes back to mind is Don Lemon, when he got out of the whole media of CNN and no longer, and being now a podcaster like myself. The freedom of speech, it's amazing. You're no longer shackled. But the more we educate people about the system, how the system works, the power of your voice, the power of your vote, I think in the future, and depending on our youth, to get it right. Because right now, whatever is happening with the youth, there's a gap, and we're missing that gap. We're missing that gap, and they're going all over the place, and we cannot any longer lose our youth. We can't do it. There's something going on, and we're missing it. Whether we're not speaking the right language, whether we're listening to respond and not listening to process what they're saying, we owe it to them. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. Ms. Melba, please send me your telephone number. Need to make a verbal comment. Okay, Miss Melba, if you want to call in, you can call in live. We have the phone lines are open, Miss Melba. 936-8255 is the number to call Miss Melba, but you will be live right now. Outside of that, you can call me after 7. Miss Rose, good evening. I'm late, but no, I'm here. Oh, yes, I know you are, my love. I worry when I don't see you and Miss Lucille and all of them. Yep. Aisle 2025. I did that, but thank you. Until then, I will continue to save some money up for every month. Not too many people have the knowledge that they need. Yeah, I know. And money up front for down payments, at least have that. Aisle 2025, it's based on how you negotiate too, Sometimes those fees, as long as it doesn't pull your debt service ratio up, can be actually incorporated into the borrowing amount. Sometimes even if, let's say you have a car, you don't want to do this. This is not advice to do. But if a bank really wants to work with you, they can add, let's say, a credit card with you knowing you're not going to have a credit card, or let's say the balance of a car loan onto a mortgage. Kindly note that's not advised, because they like to keep cars because it's just unnecessary interest. But if they really want to help you, that's another option. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi, Miss Melba. You're live.
Yes,
Just making note. You're live.
Okay, thanks. I just tuned in and
Thank you.
heard that you're having a discussion about, I guess it's the younger folks being able to survive. That's what I call it. Now, this is something that I saw that was happening from in the 1980s. I don't know how some of our people were so blind, because I saw it, and I had been a discussion about it with my husband and the late Mrs. Naomi Panton, who was very intelligent and was always listening and always cursing and quarreling about what was happening. Now, you know why property has become so expensive for these younger people to buy. I saw it happening, but my hands were tied. There's nothing I could do. Who am I? But okay, I'm not to blame anyone, because I think they were very smart. There was a law that they used on the board when I was there, stating that thou shalt apply within 6 months of being in the country for residence, providing you have shown good faith in the country. Now, the good faith meant that you owned something, or you were paying on property, and people submitted as least as $300 on a piece of property that they perhaps didn't even see, but because they could go in, pay the $300, bring the receipt with their application, and they qualified. It killed me. I spoke about it. Nobody would listen. Shortly after that, I left, So all those people that came here that were just doing days work and little menial jobs could go and pay down $300 on a piece of property. No, I'm not asking you that. I saw that. And shortly after they got their whatever for Cayman papers or whatever, that they were able to walk into a bank and get a mortgage for a house. And of course, these people are very skilled. They could build their own homes. And today, they own some of the nicest homes that's in Cayman. So that's how the properties got sold out. Now, what is left? these younger people can't afford to pay the price for it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what my husband used to complain about. He said the next generation is going to come up Melba, and they're going to want to kill their families and the people for selling them out. And he was preaching that for years.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. The laws needed to be changed, and until now we have some laws too that is not right, that should be changed. But you know, some of these people in high positions are very pig-headed. They don't want to listen to comments from the little people like myself or somebody that got good comments to make. We need to change this law and do this certain thing. I see two particular things happening now, but who do I speak to about it?
Mm-hmm.
And it can be nipped in the bud not right now.
Right.
It's not being done. So when these younger people walk into a bank, they can't go in there unless they're talking no less than $500,000 for the property and for a little house.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I foresee that they're going to have to do is like two brothers, two sisters, whatever, whoever the family that can agree, walk in there together and get a loan together to get a little house.
Like a
It won't be no more like you buy a big piece of property that they even have a backyard to grow their food in or anything like that.
I think the times and things are changing, Miss Melba, where it's not based on square footage is what you can actually afford, because we look at when we were having the discussion in regards to insurance, we're realizing that once you get the mortgage, it's not just a mortgage payment. You need life insurance, you need property
course.
insurance, then you have your utilities,
Of
then you
course,
have your
it was always
upkeeps.
that.
You see what I'm saying? So now we're
Mhm.
looking at then the cost of inflation. What you could build a house for, let's say 5 years ago, that's only a wish and a dream now. But through private public partnerships, I feel if we're really serious of addressing the housing crisis and the housing issue to make it more accessible and affordable, maybe instead of single dwellings, we look at more duplex style or going up to blocks. It all depends. There are a number of things. I'm not coming across to be an expert, but what we do need is that we're hearing from our young people, our young adults, that we want to be on our own. We want to feel as though we own a piece of our own home to get out to be independent, be it starting from something like a little townhouse, aka a condo. Normally when you hear condos, you think that's along the 7 Mile corridor or somewhere like that. But I think eventually we need to revisit what we consider our first home. And we're going to need joint partnership with the banks.
Definitely.
We're going to have stronger conversations with the banks and the developers alike, and really have the talks as well with these insurance that is mandatory, which I can understand the protection, but have that somewhere where it's built in that people are feeling they can still do it with dignity and not have to give up their everything in order to have a roof over their head and to be out and independent. But we have to have the serious conversation. When you look at all the fees as well, you got the interest in itself, you got the compound interest. Do people even realize what that means? There's a daily fee for having an outstanding balance on every mortgage or every loan. There's a fee that's applied for every day you have a balance. That's called compound interest.
Sabrina, you're speaking to the one that know it so well. I had to go through many loans in order to own what I own, and I own several homes. But
don't get older, because then, oh my God, it's even worse.
you can't. Yes.
The older you
Well,
get, the age then is become against you, because then you're shorter terms. And even if you are, just for a little humor here, even if you're a cougar, that doesn't work, because then they look at who has the biggest income, for those who caught the joke. But
yeah, it's really sad
it's
and sorry for the younger generation, because like my husband said, they were going to rise up and be against their own people, because we were sold out. I mean, when you can just walk in and pay on a piece of property as least as $300, and you would go and qualify for residence. I don't hold those people guilty.
Well,
It's
I think
not their
that's a
fault.
part of the conversation as well, this land banking thing, number one. Buying property that is just held there and then it's creating a supply versus demand type of environment. We have so much, we've acknowledged that there's so much properties that are actually owned by foreign investors who's just unoccupied. And, what does that mean for the market? Which is why I am going to have a realtor, real estate agent on. And I would really love to see it from both sides of the coin, those who are just here being realtors versus the Caymanians' perspective on what that market is like. Yeah.
I don't know, but I know there were people who came here. I'm not just talking about the wealthy people
Yeah.
that bought
In general.
property.
Mhm.
My whole thing is some very poor people that came here, and today they own a house like the rich. Number one,
But
because
how?
they could pay down on the property.
Yeah.
They got their Caymanian papers, then they qualified for a mortgage, and then they could build their own homes. When you drive into some of these areas on a Sunday, you just go for a drive, you see these $1 million homes. They belong to poor people. And I take my hat off to them because
For
it was
those
something
who
that
got
we
it
could have
early.
done too.
Yeah.
Our people could perhaps have done the same thing as well.
Yeah.
Some
people are saying that they feel that once you are, and you're hearing this, and I'm just regurgitating what people are saying, I can't confirm if it's the case, that they feel many a times that when they walk into some financial institutions, that they're automatically put as a Caymanian on the back foot. It's like they're going to be the one on default. Oh, I know. I had another real scenario the other day. Young Caymanian went into ask questions about their mortgage and going through a little rough patch right now. And instead of the loans officer giving advice or trying to rejig the numbers to assist them, they didn't say that they didn't have the amount to pay their mortgage. They just said, look, I'm going through a rough patch. How can you help me the second time around? And the first conversation that was brought up was foreclosure. Now, what you think happened to that young Caymanian? They didn't hear anything else when that was the first thing that came out of that loans officer's mouth was foreclosure. The young Caymanian did not go in there saying, I can't make it, but sustaining without landing a job, let's say in the next 4 months, 5 months. They just wanted to find out what other options were available to them, where equity was concerned and all that sort of stuff. And the first thing came out of that loans officer's mouth was the word foreclosure. That isn't promising either.
And another thing too, Sabrina, a lot of our people are going to have to learn to get a little house that's affordable, something with a 2-bedroom or whatever, because they cannot compete with the Joneses.
Well, in this case, that's not the case. In this particular case, that wasn't the case. This was a very modest.
I know that this happens though. This happens a lot of times because my house that I'm living in at that time from Barclays Bank, we borrowed $70,000, paying back yes, ma'am, paying back 700. No, I don't remember the amount we paid back, but we paid it over a period of 7 years. When I walked in and I asked Michael Richards for a mortgage, he told me, no, you can't give that kind of mortgage. So I got up and I kicked the chair and I said, well, Michael, I'm sorry, I can't do any business with you.
You see?
I can't. And I left. In a few days, he called me back and he said, I recommended you to head office and your loan has been approved. Because the banks want to make as much as they can make. So when you pay it back over a period of 7 years, you're not making almost nothing, you see?
The shorter the period, the less of the interest.
I'm satisfied with my little humble house. And I only made, a few little adjustments to it over the years, but then it is paid for.
But in this current climate, Ms. Melba, I'm going to be honest with you. If those days could come back, I think you would see a shift in mindset of persons when it comes, because now you even have persons who have mortgages that are wishing that they were out paying rent because it's just so much. We're looking at the insurance market. We understand what impacts the cost of premiums can have. And that's another expense that you have once you have a mortgage. And this isn't a matter of choice of you having life insurance and property insurance. It is a condition that's contained in the terms and conditions of the mortgage facility that your bank gives you. And I don't think people are realizing that, let's say, you are falling on hard times, but you're able to make your monthly payments to the bank as agreed to. But for some reason, either your life insurance and or your property insurance happen to lapse. Do you know? This is just broad. I'm not telling you that the bank will not work with you if you let them know. But do you know, if you have a bank that is like, look, you've breached the terms and conditions of this agreement. We notice where your life insurance is lapsed and your property insurance is lapsed, foreclosure.
Sabrina,
do you understand what I just said? You could be paying your monthly fees, but if you're in default of the other conditions, they can actually foreclose on you. I'm not telling you.
I know that.
I'm not telling you that's going to happen, but that's outside the terms and conditions of the agreement.
Remember, I qualified for $1 million roundtable most years when I sold insurance, so I'm quite aware of it. What I did, but you find agents now who are just want to grab the money and they sell you anything. Then I met a young person in particular that just come from school. I sat down and I educated them and I said, listen, if you want to get a house, you're going to have some insurance. You got to have a little savings. And they're the two key things that the bank is going to ask you for. I would not sell them the wrong stuff just to make the commission. I sold them a combination of whole life and a little term insurance. That would, those days you could go and get 150,000 and get your house. So I always sold at least like 150,000 that was affordable. And if any of those people got behind, I made it my business to go say, hey, you have to pay this because you're going to have a problem at the bank. Because the bank checks with us on a regular basis. But nowadays, the bigger that you sell, the bigger policy, the more commission you earn. And perhaps this is what is happening. You must not oversell. And in fact, nowadays, that you're not getting, most policies are not guaranteed cash value. You sell term. In my time, I didn't sell but supplemental term. But now if I had to sell again, I would only sell term for those people that don't have a house. That's all they can afford. You see? So there it goes back to having honest agents selling you insurance.
Yeah.
I have been a person that got a home through me. I sold them policy with a combination of cash value and the term. And by the time they walked into the bank, at that time, we were guaranteeing everybody like 10% or more. Sometimes we gave as much as 14%. You're not getting that these days on insurance policies.
That's true. Well, caller, I'm going to ask you if you can leave me here. We got another caller, but thank you so much. I spoke about it
years ago and nobody listened.
Yes, well, we're going to air it here.
Over spilled milk now.
Thank you, my love.
And I'm sorry for all the young people too.
Well, there's hope. There's hope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay then.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Yeah, for those, just in case you're just joining me, I know that the conversation has gone in a different direction, but this episode of Sabrina Speaks this evening, I was hoping to turn the mic towards the heartbeat of our youth here and want to ask, but look, we are going to bring it up. We got some show suggestions, and just like my promo said, that caller can call back. Are we truly listening to our young people? We're seeing where it appears as though, they're feeling that life here in the Cayman Islands is just not going for them. They don't feel listened. They don't feel heard. I've had in my time that a young woman once told me and I've engaged with a number of them, I love my home, but you know what, Miss Sabrina, I don't know if Cayman loves me back. Let me tell you something that shook me to the core. And I said, break it down for me. I don't even know how to identify. I don't even know how to identify. I said, identify what? With my surroundings. I see my mom. I see my dad struggling. That marriage didn't work. What's here for me? I'm trying to get all the best grades. I'm trying to put my best foot forward. And I don't know. I just don't feel like my home loves me back. And another one said, this is off a memory, about the future. But they're asked to talk about it, but yet they're invisible. And even when they get around the table, it's as though, yeah, it's just for a photo op, but where is it going after that? So it's just heartbreaking when these young men and young women come up to you. And this is why I want this space to be their safe space. We need to hear from them. We need to hear from the mums. We need to hear from those persons who are caregivers. We need to hear from the fathers. We need to hear from those who are feeling exactly like that young lady told me. I don't feel like Cayman loves me back. And we don't want those young men and women out there to be feeling that way, if there's an opportunity to help them. And I'm just hoping that by means of having
Hello?
these conversations, yes, caller, I'm calling you back.
Hi, good afternoon, Miss Sabrina. I was just listening to Miss Melba there and all of her wisdom. And with respect to housing, I saw a young lady in the comments, Abby, frequent listener, always on point.
Oh, yeah.
And Abby made I'll just touch on Miss Melba's point. Miss Melba, I live in a very modest home. I bought a very insignificant amount. But to Abby's point, home ownership not only feels far away, not only have the banking products made home ownership near impossible, the red tape at the planning levels. You were able to get a house plan. I've been in my home 15 years. 2008, I got house plans. I'm in 1,700 square feet. And I built my house for less than $100 per square foot in 2008. Excuse me. I did have a lot, and I will acknowledge, I had a lot of help than most people. My father's a contractor. However, I have a mortgage. I had a mortgage back then. However, what we don't acknowledge is the number of is the amount of red tape since then. Forget about since then, since 2021, the amount of red tape that people now have to go through. A house plan of my very modest home back then cost me in 2008 about $1,200, which felt astronomical at the time. At that time. Earning what I was earning versus me going right now to a architect and saying, I want to make an addition of an additional, I think it's about 700 square feet. I got quoted $13,000.
For what?
That's what I'm asking. However, I also built in 2021. In 2021, I built a duplex with a collective square footage on it of about 1,300 square feet. And I paid less than $1 per square foot for those plans. I took it and I ran with it because I was like, but however, in 2024, I inquired about an addition and I said, what is happening? What's happening? And I'm now learning about, back in 2021, I had to reach out to the chairman, the board of CPA to say, they wanted me to do a soil test. My existing home was already on the property. So there's a lot that goes into home ownership.
Yeah.
If you're building, and to be fair, it's tedious, It can be costly, but it is, to me, ultimately the most rewarding. If you're building and you're getting exactly what you want, you're able to, when I say cut corners, not necessarily on the, you may be able to say, okay, on this roof, I'll take a conventional roof versus a truss roof.
Yeah.
There are changes that have been made to the building codes that are winding or ramping the costs up. In 2021, when I built again for a second time on the same property, I remember my father saying, "Merciful Jesus, the steel in this building is double to what you have in your house. How is that possible?"
Because we import inflation, and just this is why what's happening around the world and we import all of this stuff is affecting us. Because
sorry to cut you off, not the cost of the steel, the amount of steel now being required.
Based on the requirements. Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And what I'm saying is, so we look at home ownership and we're saying, what do you mean? I think Ms. Nelba said 70,000. Back when she was borrowing 70,000, that was probably like 700,000.
Exactly.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Back in her day, back in my mother's day, correct. Before you could even, if I remember correctly, I remember seeing houses being built and put to the belting. For people who don't know what the belting is, that's the place that you get to right before you put on the roof.
It was
back in the day,
achievable.
there were bikes.
Achievable then.
But the building codes, and guess what? I don't want to hear any hogwash from anybody on CPA, because guess what? We've always been in hurricane belt. We've always been in hurricane belt. We've always been closely mimicked according to what Florida was doing. Why? I had to do a soil test in 2021. It makes me question who now is in that business that we have to make a millionaire. These are the things that come up time and time again. Why has the requirement for steel tripled? Why has roofs gone from being, you're able to put a conventional, now you have to put a truss roof? That could quadruple your cost. You have to get a structural and an engineering plan now. Whereas before you had to get a front, a rear, a side elevation, and an electrical. Now you got to get a mechanical plan as if you have elevators in your home. These are the types of things that are also contributing
up the cost.
Contributing to the cost of persons building homes. But bear in mind, before you can even build it, if you're building, you have to have a plan. That's going to cost you somewhere around $10 per square foot for the drawings.
And that doesn't include the drawing for electrical and electrical.
There you go.
Separate plans.
That doesn't include the engineering. That doesn't include what planning fees you have to pay. That's all separate and apart. But we're looking at the major things that are separating Caymanians. I'm sorry, I can't be concerned about anybody else that can't get a house in Cayman. I'm specifically speaking about Caymanians.
Yes, no, understood.
This is what is creating the divide between Caymanians being able to get and have, and Caymanians not being able to, because you go and you say, this is a basic, model 2-bedroom. I mean, I'll tell you what my dad said, they're not building houses no more, they're building closets. Why is a 1,200 square foot house $400,000? Why? And what I'm saying is, to the extent that the government can make a difference, and I am not here, let me be clear, I am not suggesting that we build stick houses and thatch roofs. That's not what I'm suggesting, albeit we could try that because them houses still standing. Them houses still standing, lest I digress. But what I'm suggesting is all that we are doing, all of the steel necessary, it makes me question who is ultimately benefiting from.
Is this post-Ivan?
But I mean,
I'm asking.
I just gave you, yes, absolutely. But I gave you a classic example. I built in 2008. I still have my house plans, by the way, the original,
Right.
the one that were manually stamped by planning.
Right.
I can tell you what plans were necessary then versus what's necessary now. I built again in 2021, and the codes have changed again. Again.
So the
Why?
question could be, yes,
Why?
exactly why. Is
Why?
it because of tremors, making sure that we are having safe structures, or is it just overly protective over,
I don't.
because when you look at what categories of hurricanes go through some other countries and you hear the destruction, you're understanding that we're having more frequent earthquakes and all that sort of stuff. We're seeing what's happening around the world. When you look at the last major earthquake that the Cayman Islands had, we must say we are blessed. A lot of people credited that because of the strong planning regulations that we have. Now we're talking a different language. That comes with a cost. So it's actually creating a delicate balance. But what I'm getting from you is
cost,
exactly,
at what cost?
exactly.
And if that is the narrative, and let's just say it is, and again, I am not even suggesting that our building codes are not correct. Because I
Understood.
don't know, that's not my area of expertise. But why is it that my neighbor's house across the street that was built in 1902 or 19 something, how she's still standing with a zinc roof?
Less shortcuts
Why is she
by
still
unscrupulous contractors who are still taking the money.
No, but this
I'm
is
just
what
saying.
I'm saying. The house across the street, built in 1900 something, they never had no planning. They never had no CPA. They never had no engineering. But I can tell you, it'll take a 1932 storm knock it down.
But even Michelle, I think the other day where you're looking at even the quality of stuff right now.
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
you're looking at the quality of stuff from even faucets and the zinc, for example. The quality of zinc, because I raised up in a zinc home right there in Elgin Avenue. It's not the same quality, but yet we're paying more for the price.
And guess what? And that worldwide inflation, we're not going to get away from.
No.
But on homegrown soil, where people in the planning department and could possibly go back to the drawing board and say, is this all truly necessary? You could literally be separating a Caymanian from being able to. You have a young Caymanian who can qualify for $200,000. But has to pay $15,000 for house plans. You've probably just put them outside of home ownership.
Literally. I just have a commenter that said that
outside of home ownership.
That their total plans was $18,000 for everything. The caller just mentioned there is so many different charges and fees. So someone's agreeing with you.
And that's just to the architect. Let's not forget what you got paid planning.
Submission fees and
what I'm saying is, to the extent that there's nothing we can do. We don't even make the rum cakes that we sell anymore. So we produce nothing. People. But to the extent
even
that we
low
can
numbers.
do something, you hear what I tell you? To the extent that we can alleviate some burden, some cost, I think that we must, because it would be delusional for then people purchasing, developers building, to then say, oh yeah, I'm going to count the cost to you. I'm going to pay $15,000 for these plus, and I'm going to eat that. That's not going to happen. But if we can get a little break here, a little break there, again, I'm not correct. Again, I am not suggesting that our building code is wrong or whatever. What I'm saying is, what worked in 2021, I built in 2021. What is so different about the way the seismic activity? And if that is the case, come out and say something, because I am going to tell you, as the daughter of a contractor, and my dad has done a lot of work, a lot. It feels a little unscrupulous. It makes you start to look at, well, I just seen that Sabrina's on the planning board, and she got a lumber shop. Why the hell you need, instead on the roof, why is there 6 inches now, whereas before it was 10 inches spaces that you need? Well, some more to go sell lumber. You understand what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying.
It makes people like me, who have been out in and around this all of my life, make me wonder, who we feeding, whose pocket we lining. I mean, in 2021, I had to tell the chairman of the board, I said, sir, listen, I am building this apartment. whether planning like it or not. And I ain't doing no soil test. So I can tell them, like, y'all can figure out that. How you going to get it done? Eat the cost of it, absorb it. I don't care. It is ridiculous that you would. I said there is nothing that has changed with respect to the composition of the soil on my property that wasn't there when it was initially here. There's an existing structure on it. There's an existing structure on it. I don't live in no gully. I don't live on no formula swampland. But it just goes to show the amount of bureaucratic red tape that exists in this country. And right now it's housing, but this exists throughout this island, and it's separating people from jobs. It's separating people from housing. It's separating people from adequate medical care. It's separating people from education. That could be minimized, lessened, and or eliminated.
But what are you saying then to the persons that are young persons that are coming up and want to have an opportunity? And that's where the youth are feeling that Cayman doesn't love them. I mean, for someone under 30 and hearing this conversation right now, and they'll be like, and I'm feeling invisible. What is here for me? I just want to maybe get off here and never come back. That's not the society that we want to create, you know?
My daughter is 15 years old, and oddly enough, we were having a conversation on our way home, and she's starting to look into what the next phase of her life has been. Since she was about 13 years old, she has known that Cayman has nothing for her. She has said it. It grieves me. It hurts me. It upsets me. Just today, she said to me, "Oh, I'm looking at XYZ law firm," because she wants to do law. And she said, "Oh, and look, and they have international offices." It breaks my heart. She said to me, "If I get a government scholarship, what government department do I have to work in?" And I said, "Well, you don't have to work in government. You have to just work on island." It saddens me. It breaks my heart to see people coming here from East Jabib. East Jabib, and can somehow make it, but we gotta go elsewhere to forage out a living, to make a life. What are they doing differently than we are?
Is it that they're coming with the lump sum?
I don't know.
Hold on for 1 minute, because I want to merge this call. I don't want to lose, and it's actually Miss Michelma. Let's do a merge. Michelma, just hold. We're wrapping up with Siobhan. Siobhan, are you still hearing me?
I am.
Yeah. Some people were saying that, again, it's alleged that some of the foreigners, once they come here in certain positions, certain organizations, that they are given better opportunities based on their income. They know that let's say that's in one of the financial industries, that their jobs are going to be secure. They'll eventually move on to PR. And some of them actually come with sufficient monies that they could either build or buy properties that you and I would only dream of possibly having. And they get the opportunities because they know the position that they're in, or they make partner. Let's say they might make partner of
we have experience. But I am not going to say that is not the case in some instances.
It's alleged.
We have examples, and I don't want to start naming people, but I can think of a real estate agent who is a multi-million-dollar broker. Homeboy came here as a surfer. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. A surfer. He came here as a surfer. He is a multi-millionaire.
So where are we getting it wrong?
Explain that to me.
Where are we getting it wrong?
This is the question. This is the question, right? And we can go back to the crabs in a bucket, the crabs in a bucket. But we have I would say, under 30, under 40-ish generation, my generation and the ones after me, who are hungry, who are sick of this, but we are also so discouraged by being so displaced by the ones who came before us, who either willfully or unknowingly caused us to be displaced in our own country.
Is it because... do you think then that the opportunities that were given to the majority of the locals then, I'm just asking a question for conversation, where has it shifted, where when you walk in and you see you're owned into a bank and you want to buy a house or a piece of land, that it is harder for a local to get through with that institution versus going for a car? Where have we gotten it wrong? Is it that they don't trust us? I mean, it's not like we have anywhere else to go. It's
to
like
that question,
yeah.
Let me sum it up for you. Because I had this conversation with
Michelle, I'm coming to you.
I actually had this conversation with a sitting minister, and we used a local, very successful accountant who went on to become a developer. And, in our conversation, and he said to me, I'll use you, when Sabrina was poor, grew up in Dog City, and, but she was smart, XYZ firm picked her up and she became an accountant. But the minute that Sabrina had the opportunity to help Siobhan and Sandra and Michelle, Sabrina made sure that she reached for those coming behind her. There is a complete disconnect and a lack of, I don't even know what the word is, because crabs in a bucket doesn't adequately sum it up. Crabs in the bucket is covetousness, at least to me, right? There is this almost there. I was in upper management myself in the corporate service industry, and in speaking to other Caymanians like myself, and it's like, well, man, we being pressured. We being pressured to hire foreigners, and they do it to people like us because they know our stance. And you're either going with the green or going against the green, and going against the green may very well wind you up on the outside. May very well land you on the outside.
You're preaching to the choir.
We have a young Caymanian, middle-aged Caymanian, who had to leave the country, not because he wasn't qualified, not because he didn't have the experience, because he dared say Caymanians deserve to come first in Cayman. That's what we're up against. But you can't put the fox to watch the hen house and wonder why the chickens are being eaten. You have people coming here with different ideas and ideologies about how things should go. I know a young man who came here, I won't say from where, who came here in 2016. He came here sharing a room. I kid you not, sharing a room and taking public transport. That was in 2016. In 2025, he owns 3 units at Vela and has a wonderful life and is a partner at some firm that he was able to start after kind of picking off clients from his former firm. Let me put it out there for public consumption. A lot of them, that's how they get their startup. That's how they come ahead. And almost as if you have to be willing to have no morals, no ethics, no values, and be unscrupulous in some of these industries to come ahead.
But it's the environment that's being created and by whom. And just before we miss that streak, Siobhan,
it's not Caymanian.
Siobhan,
and I'm going,
Jasaria is saying I needed to give you a kaboom.
I dare. It's not by Caymanians. Like, we didn't come ahead. We came from a time where you walked into the bank and you saw Sabrina at the receptionist counter, and you said, hey, my daughter just graduated. She's looking for a little job. And in 10 years, she started as the teller, and in 10 years, she was upstairs and had her own office. She was the assistant manager. That's where we've come from. Versus now, we're putting people in places who are responsible for our progression, directly responsible for our progression, directly responsible for whether or not we proceed, not because we're incapable, not because of that, not because we're unqualified, but because we don't look like them. And I am going to say it. I am going to say it until I am blue in the face. You cannot put the fox to watch the hen house and wonder why the chickens are being eaten. Okay? If you are in HR and I need a job, and Thomas Brown from Brazil needs a job, and our credentials and qualifications are similar, who are you going to look out for?
Charity begins at home if I was in the position.
Charity begins at home. But you have to understand that the people who are moving to this country are, and I am going to say it, and if it offends them, well, fight me, are economic refugees and safety refugees fleeing countries who they have said are less safe than Cayman, who have come here and who have the Sabrinas already existing in the firm. They've already Nobody jumps up on a whim and decides, you know what, I'm going to move to the second most expensive place in the world without some level of security. Nobody does it. Nobody does it. Migration is not in the best interest or for the benefit of the persons receiving the migrant or the country receiving the migrant. It is about the migrant. It is about their opportunity, their better opportunity, whether it's real or perceived. And all I'm saying is, why is it that Thomas from Brazil, who don't have you know what in his you know what, can come here and 2 shakes of a pussycat's tail? Sarah, that's been there 40 years, know the company inside, outside, upside, roundside, has done every job. Thomas is Sarah's boss. Make that make sense. You know why? We're putting the fox to watch the hen house. I believe all except of one of the elected members campaigned on immigration reform. All except 19, of 19, I believe one did not, if I'm recalling correctly. We're not hearing nothing about that. We're not hearing anything more about it. What is going on? And to suggest, and I keep saying this is not xenophobic. This is not she hates foreigners. Listen, you can be pro-Caymanian and not hate foreigners, you know. I just want to clarify that for the people that seem confused about that. Caymanians must come first in Cayman. That's not up for debate or negotiation, at least not where I'm concerned. You understand? But for too long, we have made it optional instead of mandatory. We need to make it our prerogative to see that Caymanians are first. Caymanians come first. But we too busy worrying about Sabrina got a new car and how she get that. And instead of saying, Sabrina
what
got
has she done right? Yeah.
What she done right?
Yep.
We too busy knowing the next person to come ahead a little bit and say, teach me what you know. Teach me what you know. Forget about the begrudgeful ones that don't want to teach and don't want to knowledge share. You can have them, but I dare say that they are in the minority. I can speak directly to financial services. We are the pioneers. We are the hedge fund capital of the world. Take a look. And I ain't talking about no paper Caymanian. If that offends you, well, wear that cap. Okay? Look at the hedge fund world in this country. It was built by Caymanians. And I'm not talking about the ones with paper. We built this industry. Look at how many get to enjoy the milk and honey from it. Just pay attention. Look at the ever-changing face of financial service. Look at what it looks like. Look at where these people are coming from. Look at their backgrounds. However, look at what it looked like prior to their incoming and say, what happened there? I just told you guys about 40 times. We're putting the fox to watch the hen house and wonder why all of the chickens are being eaten. And until, whether it be, it has to first, in my opinion, there has to be legislative measures to start to curtail some of what we're seeing. There has to be. If it's not in legislation, there's nothing to force. There's nothing to push. There's no argument to be had.
There has to be political will.
There has to be.
And this is why people understanding.
Some testicular. It takes more than testicular.
But you also have to understand. You got to understand the power and the distance of your vote. It stops after they're elected.
But that's the problem. But
think about what I just said, Siobhan. People not realizing that.
I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you. And guess what? It takes 19 to form government. It takes 19. The Constitution says so. 19. Okay? Some sit in government, some sit in opposition. But if it was only
8 cabinet members. 8 cabinet members.
We got wheel and come again. We got wheel and come again. To form parliament has to be 19. You have to have a speaker, the governor, and all that foo-foo stuff that goes with it. But what I'm saying is, why is it that my people are so hard pressed, so the memory so short that you don't remember, and I'm going to use Sabrina, that you don't remember that for 4 years, Sabrina sat up in that office collecting that money and driving that for the car.
Which was mine, by the way. I drove
didn't
my car.
deliver and didn't deliver on anything. Well, you must be the only one. Because I can tell you what, the bunch they got, and no, you would swear that they must be riding donkeys or pushing unicycles before, because everybody got to get a car. Everybody got to get a driver. I feel like when I see them on the road, just like Oprah, you get a car and you get a car and you get a car. What they need to do is get offices. What they need to do is tell people where they are. What they need to do is give people access to being able to contact their offices, so that I'm not the sounding board. Do you know where Sabrina's office is? Do you know where John Brown's? No, I actually don't. I don't believe they have an office. These are some of the things that are easy fixes. But you see, again, the fox watching the hen house, Sabrina. And how are you going to punish the doers when they themselves are doers? How do you do it?
It's a norm, so you wouldn't be able to even identify that it's an
How do you
offense.
do it? Yeah, but what I'm saying is, how is it that 18 at least out of 19 sitting members of parliament campaigned on immigration reform, yet you can't even hear the crickets. You can't even hear the crickets anymore. Listen, I thought by now we would have had new legislation in place. That airport would have been so bare that we would have had to go up there ourselves to make it look like we was okay.
I don't understand why people will expect that to happen within the, April, May, June, July, August, September, call it October, 6 months. They are busy right now, but hold on. They are busy doing a budget. Any sitting government that is elected right now, elections was in April.
Correct.
They are operating off of whatever was left from the previous sitting government.
And
okay?
that's fine.
So their broad outcomes, all that they campaigned on, they're trying now to do a 2-year budget, hoping to deliver on what they campaigned on.
And
now,
Sabrina,
I have been reliably informed
that
they're supposed to be dealing with this immigration thing the next sitting of the House. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not hopeful, but anyway.
Because the 28 days for public consultation is what was actually holding some of them back.
But you and I, myself being heavily involved in politics, you being a former sitting member, you're aware of how it works. They have to appreciate that the average person out there voting does not understand that. Does not understand that there's going to be a little bit of cycle. And there's going to be a little period where you probably never really hear from them. But let me tell you, if they put down a crosswalk, they're snapping pictures on social media in it. Why don't they come out? Why can't they say, hey, listen, we're here. We're here. This is what we're working on for you, Cayman. They elected, you know. They're not appointed. They're elected by the people of the country. They work for us. They work for us. And somebody who I highly regard as the father of democracy said, participatory democracy is but a farce, because if you had to go and consult on everything you need to get done, you wouldn't get nothing done. I don't disagree with that. But to sit on your hands and have the public out there saying, well, wait, it's Sabrina been? It's been a year now. It's been 6 months now. You know, can't hear a word. But what's going on? People deserve to know, Sabrina. People deserve to know.
But don't they have committees? Don't they have all of these persons that will speak for them? I don't know. I can't speak. I'm not here to give a lesson in how a elected person, just how they went out there to campaign. They should know how, after the campaigning season is over, how they remain connected. I know what I did. And as a commenter alluded to, it would be good to have an interview with what it was like as a woman being in there. But I'm not here going to give you tips. You won, you better know how you're going to represent, because Sabrina here is not going to give you the secrets. And I agree with you, which is why speaking objectively on how it should work is what I would do. Each constituency have different demands, caller.
Correct.
Some do not really need to see their MP. Some do not. Once you acknowledge them on your phone, or you return their call, they're good.
They're good.
Others have more persons that are
correct.
right. So you got to know
Not
who
all
you are
constituencies-
representing.
But not all constituents are in that position. And let me tell you something. You were tired of seeing some of these MPs' faces when they were campaigning. And now you can't. Now they don't even read your messages. But they were messaging you and calling you and foo-fooing you up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. You couldn't get enough of them. Mm-hmm. And now you have people talk, you would swear like it's some big secret or conspiracy. Well, you heard from Sabrina? Did I hear from Sabrina? She got elected in Malo. I sent her a message 2 weeks ago. She not read it yet. And what I'm saying is, while I completely understand, I understand how the wheels of this thing work, how the wheels of this thing turn. And I understand that you got to give up. It's like short-term pain for long-term gain.
Well, let's hope after the budget is passed, now that everything takes effect in January, you'll see them more in and on the ground.
Let me put this out there for public consumption, right? And it's going to sound ignorant, but it's very real. And it's very real because I get the phone calls and I hear it often where people say, I don't give two about what they're doing. I need help down. Yeah.
You see?
So guess what? Sabrina, who was always dependent on her MP to make it. And I'm not suggesting that this is okay or normal. I am just suggesting that this is the system that we have created and it's not going to be undone in one election. And anybody who thinks it is a fool. But what I'm saying is there are going to be people who will always struggle. There are going to be people who will always need more help than others. And when you were out there campaigning, Sabrina, you said, I'm going to see you. And they had access to you. And guess what? Siobhan that need help with her school children lunch money or lunch or whatever. I think it's free now, but whatever. Let's just use that. I really don't give who you know was about what you up there doing because right now, my children need something to eat. And I dare tell you, it's not the minority. It is the majority in some of these constituents who are saying...
Siobhan, can I ask a general question?
Of course.
What is, just for discussion purposes, what is the Department of, we could call it NAU, so people will just think, I think it's DAF, yes. DAF, Department of Financial Assistance.
Department of Financial Assistance.
DAF,
yeah.
For those persons who actually depend on their MPs to assist them with their utilities, putting food on the table and that sort of stuff, do you feel that should be a thing going forward? Because wouldn't that be considered vote buying during a campaign? Why would it be? Don't get me wrong. We all fall in hard times, and sometimes, yes, your
Correct.
MP is the person to go to, but actually sometimes I have been in this position where there would be persons coming from other constituencies. There are persons right now that I know for a fact even have gone to the sister islands and begged the representatives from the sister islands. And that's what they do. They go around constituencies because they're saying, I know how much money Siobhan is making now. I don't understand why Siobhan can't help me because I voted for Siobhan.
Make a long short start. Sabrina, there are some MPs that are simply more attuned, if I could use that word, I would say something else, to the needs of their community. And there are some who themselves only went there to collect a paycheck. They weren't much better off than the constituent that come in there to get help.
Understood. So, but which goes back to this.
That's the first.
Do you think then that they should start channeling these persons to the Department of Financial Assistance?
So
instead of doing it out of their own pocket, if you, because the $5,000 constituency allowance is given to each elected member, whether or not they're cabinet minister, deputy premier, whatever.
Correct.
Every elected minister get $5,000, and it is stated that is to maintain an office, pay the utilities, and office supplies. You get where I'm coming with that? Outside of that, anything else that they do is really out of pocket.
You have sitting MPs right now, who have been pulling that $5,000 per month from the day they were elected to this day we speak, who don't have offices, who have paid staff. Which office they're sitting in? On that tree? on a show when it comes to that constituency budget, but we don't have to talk about that another day.
Yeah.
The problem is, Sabrina, the problem is what you just said. Department of Financial Assistance or Services, whatever it's called, NAU is what I refer to it for this purpose. There's always going to be a sector of society that is going to be dependent. Our social welfare program needs to improve. And what I'm saying is, when you start to run for election, so we know that if you are an MP, you get at least one office staff, maybe 1.5, depending, or 2, whatever if you end up as a minister, whatever that be the case.
As a minister, you're allowed 2. As a minister, you're allowed 2 full-time staff, 1 part-time. Every other is 1.5.
And what I'm saying is the rules around how that works and how they function, I don't even know the specifics. But I am assuming if the reference to it is made as office staff, that's what they should be. That's what they should be.
Constituency office assistants. They're your eyes, your ears on the ground.
Office assistant, but it shouldn't be chauffeurs. I don't think that the law says that, but lest I digress. But what I'm saying is those people should be your eyes and ears on the ground. Those people should be assisting you as the MP for that constituency. We can see now with the current government makeup, where let's just say that this person is also an MP and they were also appointed a councillor. So for this purpose, I'll use the opposition. The opposition, I don't believe, ended up as councillors or shadow ministers or anything of that sort. But they nonetheless collect $5,000 a month for their constituency budget. That should entail just what you said, them being able to pay rent for their offices. There's no hard and fast rule around where it is, how much it is, none of that stuff. But
and I can assure you, if you're doing it properly, every month you exceed that based on your constituency's demands. And not all constituency, for example,
covering the required expenses such as the rent and the utilities.
But can you imagine finding a space in Georgetown Central, for example? Can you imagine finding a rental space versus the BRAC or in the Eastern Districts? You're going to get cheaper rent.
But I agree. But if they were smart, they would kind of pool their resources. If they truly had the country's best interest at heart, and they would say, listen, we've all in this case PPM. Listen, let's try to get one central office, see how we can minimize costs, to see how best we can use this constituency budget to help the people, because they all say that that's what they're doing with it. God forbid if they ever went into legislation that they had to give account for it, plenty of people would be going to jail. They would have to build a new prison. Lest I digress. Back to where I was in terms of what I was saying to you about the Department of Financial Services. I have never personally required the services of NAU, but I've assisted many people who have required it. It shouldn't be something that you're embarrassed about or shamed about.
Correct.
People fall on hard times. My grandma says sickness and death is to everybody.
Yep. That
come a dime a dozen. And people are separated by the magnitude of their emergency, whatever the case is that. But what I'm saying is your office person should be so attuned to you, and you should have had such an open dialogue that they are well aware that, okay, Siobhan's family, they have a elderly grandmother, they've been. You move around the district, you ought to know. And what I'm saying is you have people in terms of getting financial assistance who aren't able to get financial assistance. Why? They don't have nobody from the constituency office to help them fill out the form.
Wow. Yep.
Why is that? You getting paid, mind you know, and let me clarify to the public, the $5,000 does not cover paying your staff. The government, the people of the Cayman Islands are paying those office staff. I see the office sign saying closed more than I see it open. I see them gone more than I see them there. Okay? This is a crying shame. What's going on in this country? So to answer your question, the people who need assistance from the Department of Financial Services, or whatever it's called, NAU, what I'm saying is there's a lot that could be done. more on a district/constituency level by the persons charged with the responsibility, because I do believe that that is part of your responsibility as an MP to ensure that your constituents are getting the social, medical, educational help that they need. And if you are unable to deliver that assistance, that you have put the proper measures in place to ensure that that is streamlined appropriately. If I walk into the office and I require health insurance or I require NAU assistance, I shouldn't be made to feel like some leper and run out of there. I shouldn't. You have people, whether we like it or not, in this community, in this country, who are illiterate, who don't even understand what is required, who are being turned down by NAU simply because they didn't really understand what the requirements were. And you have people in constituency offices propped up in their beds till 10 o'clock in the morning with a closed sign on the door while people out here suffering. Sabrina, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. But again, you heard what I said, when you put the forks to wash the hen house, do not wonder why you're not going to more chickens. This is not okay. And why is it good enough? Why my people can't remember that when they went to Sabrina's office, the damn thing was closed more than it was open? Why don't they remember that when they went to Sabrina's office and said, my lights are being shut off. I've never asked for help before. Can you help me this time? She said, boy, you have to check John Brown. Why my people can't remember that? I hear them say, you know what you got, you don't know what you're going to get. But guess what? If you keep taking what you're getting, you're not getting nothing else. You ain't going to get nothing else. And you know what that person has done. You know what that person is capable of. But you're going to keep putting them back in, keep giving them a chance to do what, the same old, and then complain about what? No, Sabrina, this is not good enough. The rules around a lot of things legislatively, and particularly to kind of rein in, if you will, the way the public funds are being spent. And yes, the constituency budget is part of the public purse, because guess what? No MP puts it out of his pocket. None. It all forms a part of the Caymanian budget that we, the people, have to contribute and help pay. Yeah. In case nobody never noticed, remember that they said that they have to increase the cost of services in order to keep the public sector afloat, not the private. So when people taking these things into consideration and they think it too much, or they think that they're asking too much of their MP, remember that they're pushing more expense down your throat so that they can live their big life, drive their nice cars, while you suffering and struggling to put food on the table. Remind them what they campaigned on. Keep a watch. No, I'm not talking about 6 months. They just get in there, albeit they could go a lot more done, in my opinion, but lest I digress. But what I'm saying is, don't be so forgetful. Don't be so easily bought out. Turkey and beef and chicken and ham and all that stuff is good at Christmas, but there are 360 something other days of the year that you have to eat. 365, 64 most times that you're going to have to eat. And if we don't remember, and if we don't start demanding more and better and accountability, I mean, it blows my mind that you could be sold out a sum of money. I don't care if it was $1 that you don't have to give an account for. Who came up with this craziness? The Auditor General ought to be flying their hands up in the air saying, what the hell? What the hell? And I understand the privacy concerns. I understand all of those things. But if you said to the public that this constituency budget is for office and utilities, you damn well better have a lease. And you better be got some CUC receipts. You better be able to demonstrate, I bought 50 Foster cards, I bought 20 CUC cards. You better. Because else, how I know you're not pocketing the money? I must rely on your integrity when we know most of them don't have it. We must rely on their integrity, that they are being honest and they are doing with the money what they say they're doing when they're not even required to even demonstrate that they did it. Come on, Sabrina. Again, the fox is watching the hen house. I'm going to come off this phone because I probably ruffle a couple of feathers today. And I don't want to hear that.
And I got
nobody
get
quit the
killed
government.
because we went over with your
I don't want
contribution.
nobody
But it
quit
was
the government.
sound. It was sound. And we have to get
Quit the
these things
government
out.
tomorrow.
Right.
But again, we got to do better, Cayman. Cayman, we have to do better. We had people, our grandfathers and forefathers and foreparents, and God bless him, Jim Borden. If he were alive, I don't know what he would do. He would just probably strike a match and burn it down. But we got to do better than what we're doing now. We're leaving nothing for the next generation. We're leaving nothing.
Exactly, which is why I didn't even get to my youth today. We didn't get to the youth, and I promised them I will do this next week. But look, Siobhan, a commenter I say to Siobhan, Hides, please run for the public office next 4 years. You have a lot of valid points. More women are needed in the government. And you've gotten
we've been
a lot.
holding on the house for so long. We've been holding on the house for very long. But boy, we bear up in there. Boy, we bear up in there. So, like I said, the folks watching the hen house again, we gotta do better. We gotta get it right. We gotta demand more. These people out there spending our money. If your boss if you were supposed to get $100 every month, and your boss was like, actually, I'm gonna give you $5 this month because I used the other 9 to 5 to cover this, and this, or general expenses. That wouldn't be okay with you. Why is it okay with you when your MP is doing it? He's taking your money, your children's money, scholarships. Guess what? If they be playing fast and loose with it, ain't going to be no more money for scholarships. Ain't going to be no more NAU money.
Somebody's asking you, caller, I need you to take up and talk for me at NAU because my case is still pending and no answer for a year since answer as for a year from January 2025. And they said, I am approved. Come and assist me with your mouth to help me. I need you. This is Miss Rosie Banks.
Miss Rosie Banks.
Yeah, commenter. 6:30. Yeah.
She sounds like she down in West Bay.
Or people don't know what you call.
If you could find,
spreading the wealth.
If you could find their details, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to do my best to help. But again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Each voting person in this country, and actually whether or not you vote, if there's an MP in that constituency, they're
serving everybody.
Whether or not you vote, and they seem to miss that. They seem to misunderstand that.
You know, a lot of people don't even realize that once you become a minister, you can't just speak about, for example, I'm going to use myself as an example. I couldn't just go there and speak about the people of Prospect.
But this is it. But
you're not when you're in a minister. Exactly. You're a minister of health, in my case, and home affairs for everyone.
But guess what, though? Even every minister is elected to a constituency, and you can't get up there. Representing in your ministerial role, and I'm not trying to diminish that role and forget the people that put you up in there.
Exactly, which is a delicate dance. It's a delicate dance. You have double responsibility.
Absolutely. And that's right. It got to be for the strongest soldiers.
Yeah.
It just that way, Sabrina. Yeah. But you can't get up there and forget who got you up there.
Correct. And that's why remaining on the ground, having a presence is key for one's success.
But not only that, but again, I go back to this constituency office, this constituency budget, these constituency office members, assistants, chauffeurs, whatever the hell they won't call them. What I'm saying is they're supposed to be your eyes and ears on the ground. They're supposed to be so sound and intact and in tune that the community and the constituency does not miss your presence. They don't miss a beat. I will not call their name, but let me tell you something. We had one in West Bay who was so attuned to the issues in this district. You never miss that MP not being at the office, because whether she had to drive to your house, whether his assistant drove to your house, had to carry you to the hospital, take you to CUC to pay your bill herself, she got it done. So when I hear people talking about, it's excuses. We need to make more effort and stop coming up with excuses, because they come a dime a dozen. But they need to have as vociferous as they were in coming to your yard and banging down your door and begging for your vote. They need to bring the same strength to make sure that the constituency needs are being met. You can build a stairway to heaven, but if somebody not got food to get up to climb the stairway to heaven, it's no good. It's no good, Sabrina. These things are and these are low-hanging fruit. You heard the person say her thing been up in this since January 2025. And what I'm saying is this is probably a senior citizen who has worked their behinds off all the days of their life to build this country, to get them 19 up there where they are. It grieves my soul. It grieves my soul. I wish I could take a chain some days and tie them all up because it is so embarrassing. It is so embarrassing that this is where the mess gets spilled out in the public domain. This is where all of the stuff is being kind of shelled out. And they're so frustrated. We don't even know how many people are actually. And the sad part about it is what we know from statistics is the people who tend to get left behind are the most vulnerable. Seniors, women, children, and handicaps.
Right.
Forgive me for not using the politically correct word.
No,
those are the people who tend to correct. Those are the people, the most vulnerable. Of our society. And we have an entire department with what seems to be an endless budget. And we still missing the mark. You still have someone. And then if you dare talk about that world-class civil service, people get their parties all in a bunch and get all upset. But guess what? Miss Rose or whomever, if I said her name wrong, forgive me. Miss Rose don't give who about who got help. She just knows she ain't getting help. And for her to have to come in the public domain to say, I need help from an ordinary citizen. I need your voice to go with me to NAU. I need help. Think about the pride that she has to put aside to publicly come out and say, I need help from NAU.
This is a commenter caller.
Probably lives in a constituency with an MP.
Listen to this.
Still can't get no help.
Caller, at this point, I think it's best the King's Council take over because we want our own political leaders so we could get more attention and be heard, but sadly care who we vote for. We, the people, are never a priority.
Never. But we have to remember that. We have to remember that when Sabrina spent her time up in there, couldn't see or hear from her. We saw her at Christmas with a turkey, and we saw her on TV. We need to remember that.
I'm just so glad that even if it wasn't me, they knew that their messages got me because we had a very functioning office. We kept all of our events. And I can be honest with you, Siobhan, I got criticized for all of the events that I had, I got criticized that that's not representation. Can you imagine?
It always the sales that not doing that got something to say, right? But again, what I'm saying is and I'm not going to stop talking about it until we get it right. These constituency offices are meant to function. I've seen them in other countries and blah, blah, blah elsewhere, right? What I'm saying is they are meant, that is supposed to be your direct connection from your MP to the community, okay? That's your sounding board. We need to get it right. These people are collecting thousands and thousands of dollars every month, not just the MPs, but the MP office staff as well. They're collecting money every month too. They should have a line out their door with the number of issues that every constituency in this country got. Which one not got problems? There ought to be a line outside of every MP door every day with somebody needing something done. Be it, please help me fill out this form. Please witness or notarize this form. There should be a line. Yet, like I tell you, some not got offices collecting constituency budget. Some got office staff, not got no office. Some got... What is going on?
Shaka Zulu says, Siobhan, the caller needs to be on regularly to continue to express what most Caymanians are thinking and feeling.
Yeah, but I'm just one person, and I'm bold enough to stand here and say, this is happening. Everybody else to some level or degree is being affected. I don't pay a different price at the gas pump than anybody else. I don't get a discount on groceries. I am not the spokesperson for Kirk Supermarket. We don't get nothing. But he who feels it knows it. And to a large degree, I am blessed in the position that I am in to be able to do and say some of the things that I do.
Yes, because this is the
think my
thing. People are scared because you brought it up when I used the term once about being blackballed. When you said, but it's real. And this is why certain people speaking out like this, even coming on as yes.
Sabrina, you don't want people don't want to call in.
Exactly.
People don't want to call in and say, listen, this morning I sat down by my MP's office for 4 hours and the thing was closed. That's not acceptable.
Because they're
fearful. It's not acceptable. And until we start to move the needle on what is acceptable and start to demand better and more and performance and not excuses and effort instead of excuses, we can be here and we are going to be spinning our wheels. But you know what? I got a message for all of them. We got a different breed of something brewing up here. I can leave on after this. We got a different breed of something brewing up here, right? And they're called new Caymanians. These are Caymanians who have migrated to this country. I don't care how long they've been here, but they're new Caymanians. They're not what we would refer to as generational Caymanians, right? New Caymanians. They're coming here with their old ideology, having Caymanian children by the definition. Caymanian children who are indoctrinating their children with their way of thinking. Those children who are probably my age, or guess what? Going to be eligible to run for public office with their ideologies, which looks vastly different than what your ideology as a generational Caymanian might look like, and my ideology as a generational Caymanian might look like. I'm not trying to put down or demean nobody or suggest that that people can't or shouldn't run for public office. What I'm saying is the face of politics in this country is shifting, not slowly, very fast. Look at financial services. And yes, it's politics. It's shifting. The face of politics is going to start shifting. And we will not like the direction that it's going to go in. So they can sit down on what my grandma said, their laurels, and talk about, oh, we're so glad that Siobhan can call in and voice concerns. And
she's doing it for me. She's doing it for me.
Listen to me. I'm but one person. Right? And I can't keep standing up for and sticking my neck out for people who aren't even willing to say, this happened to me. And no, I'm not trying to start a Me Too movement. But I'm just saying, you were saying that you can't even identify with the high cost of groceries. You can't identify with the high cost of utilities. You can't identify with the rise in crime. You can't identify with the high cost of health insurance, house insurance, bank rates. You can't identify with them. I can't be so special that this one falling on me. You understand what I'm saying? They can sit down on their laurels, as I said, and watch it pass them by and talk about if I had no, always come last.
It takes a lot. If I had no,
always come last.
It takes a lot, Siobhan, to garner what you have.
Say something.
Yes.
You got to get up. Yeah, but saying nothing can be the solution.
Correct.
My daughter taught me the most important lesson, and she was 4 years old. She is 15 now, thank God. And I will tell you, and my daughter used to say to me, and she is by far one of the people who had the most courage, believe it or not, more courage than me, because she my child. And she said, if you never ask, the answer will always be no. If you don't ask the question, you deserve answers, Sabrina. You deserve to know where is my MP. You deserve to know that. I bet you that paycheck not late any month. Start cutting back on that and start paying that late and start telling them, you can get paid for what you show up for.
Devil's advocate, Siobhan. Do you feel then that campaigning season over after you've elected your MP and the expectations, and especially if they become a minister, devil's advocate, okay, that the expectations of constantly being at one's door, like in the form of a campaign, is realistic? who
What do you mean
camp
being at
who
MP being
campaigns
at the
after, yeah,
constituent's door?
who campaigns after an election? I'm being devil's advocate. Do you feel that eventually, with the responsibilities that they have been given because the people have elected you, that the expectations after an
If
election,
they're a
worse
minister?
if you, yeah, even if they're a minister, do you think that the expectations is just too much after a campaigning season, that they expect them to constantly be there and still do the work of the people? I'm being devil's advocate.
Well, I don't say devil's advocate, I said angel's advocate.
Thank you.
Playing angel's advocate. What I'm saying is, for me, I would have to break that down into two categories: a minister versus an MP. And what I'm going to say is, let's just use the opposition in this case. They're not in government, but they're an MP nonetheless.
Right.
The requirements and the needs of their constituency has not changed. Has not changed. It's not improved. It's not gotten any worse. Let's assume it stays. It has remained stagnant. Right? But at best, I said earlier, there's no constituency in this country that is without problem. None.
Every one of them have issues.
None. Right? And what I'm saying is that constituency office, and I will continue to hammer that home. There are some people, Sabrina, who want to see their MP. It makes them feel good.
Yeah.
That's what you getting paid for, you know? Just so they know, that's what you getting paid for. And you're telling me 1 month, 1 week, one day out of every month, you can't make yourself available in your constituency office?
Well, they're given constituency days, like an entire day.
Well, I was just going to say that. Don't worry. I'm not missing that.
And I've had satellite days where I even open on Saturdays, and I would actually come in on Sundays if persons wanted to see me. I made myself available.
You know what happened to you? Don't tell you what happened to you. You were doing too much.
You know, you're the third person to
You were
tell me
doing
that.
too much. You were doing
You're the
too
third
much.
person that told me that.
You was what my grandma said, a proper show. You were showing off. You were showing off.
My conscience says me free though.
As long as you sleep good at night, knowing that you serve your community and you serve your constituency faithfully, let your conscience set you free. But what I'm saying is, believe it or not, sweetheart, you got some collecting their salary, constituency money, office money, employee money, don't have an office, and sweetheart, let me tell you, they're sleeping well at night, eh? So you understand?
Well, they're all new, so let's get them settled in. So the clock, let's say this is the honeymoon phase, and it's all kicks off as of January.
No.
Let's see.
Horse crap. And I'm going to tell you why. You know when the honeymoon phase was? When you out there begging people to vote for you and popping off all them thousands of dollars and buying school bags and having social this and social that. That was the honeymoon phase. Because when you stood up there on that podium and said, vote for me, you should have had your plan in place of.
Oops. Hold on, I'm trying to merge here.
Is important. I'm sick of the lip service. So you should have known from then. Hopefully you wasn't running to lose. That would be stupid. So you should have from then at least in serious thought through, okay, I'm going to be the MP for, in my case, 51 Uncle Jimmy's Lane. I'm going to be the MP here. I've looked around and I see that Sabrina got a house, or a little small office, whatever. Okay, I'm going to speak to Sabrina and say, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. And should I be successful, would you be willing to rent me your little office for my constituency office? You've identified.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just going to ask Ms. Siobhan to wrap up because we have another caller on hold.
You've identified Ms. Shelma, as a good community worker, and you say, all right, Ms. Shelma, listen, this is what I'm doing. If I'm elected, would you work in my office? And she says, yeah. Instead, you get up there, you get elected, and what are you doing with your two long arms? Like you never had a plan to begin with, like you plan to lose? That's unacceptable, Sabrina. But hold on. But you're taking the government money. You're taking that constituency budget. You got this office staff hired for this imaginary office.
Leave me there, Siobhan. Thank you so much.
I will leave you there.
Have a good evening, my love. Good evening, caller. You're live. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Miss Sabrina. So, I don't normally call in, but I want to tell the caller that I called in because of her. Because
Thank
she said,
you.
"Oh, you guys keep being quiet, and I alone can't do it." So
Mhm.
I just put my 2 cents.
Oh,
My question is,
go ahead.
and it is not on community. Okay, I'm talking about like the ministers, especially Mr. Rutty. I think he's responsible for tourism right now.
Mhm.
I want to know, why was seasonal permits cut out for the tourism industry? So every other country, Canada, America, all these places, they do farm work, seasonal permit, whatever you call it.
Mhm.
You go for 8 months. After you work 8 months, you get a month in the country. You go home. After that, you do 2 months, 3 months, and then you come back when season picks up.
Mhm.
Now that works for the locals, because if you do have seasonal permits for the people that work, especially in the tourism industry, in the construction
Seasonal
industry,
workers.
these industries, yes, in these industries that, it's seasonal, construction, tourism, those two main industries. Why not do seasonal? So when the work is finished, you go home, you come back when the work starts, so that us as locals can benefit. Because right now, we as local, I'm a local Caymanian, I work only 2 days per week now.
In the
I'm off
industry,
5 days
in hospitality.
in the industry. Right, right. And for construction workers, it's like always get cut. You get cut
Right.
something early,
Everybody's
and
suffering
then
because they have to bear the
right.
weight of those who are on full-time work
So
permits where they could have
right,
been seasonal.
right. So my question to Mr. Rutty, and especially to Mr. Andre, I voted for him, so I think I can speak to him as my MP, as the caller said. What I would like to know is, why can't this come back into play so that us locals can actually survive during the low seasons? Remember, our industry, our country, we depend on tourism 50 to 60%. No question asked. We depend on immigration for the other 40%. No question asked. The seasonal works, immigration still makes money, and the local makes money in the industry. I would like to know, why aren't these things being viewed? Because we as the locals, we're suffering, and some of us
Yeah.
are in the industry not because we have to be in the industry. Some of us actually like it. Some of the young people coming in, they like it. They would like to do it. There's a lot of things going on within the industry, that there's a lot of loopholes in the system that is being beaten, and as Caymanians, we're suffering. We're suffering. For instance, now they have this new thing where they say, "Oh, a Caymanian has to be trained based off of the thing that they have in the fine print now for the new permit that is being issued." Fine. What is happening now?
That's a
most of these
condition.
positions, right? But most of these positions, Caymanians are not being trained for them, because now they're being dormant. So as soon as the permit holder goes home and roll over, and you ask about the position as a Caymanian, "Oh, we no longer need anybody for that position." But then when you
They're
look,
making the position redundant.
no, so the position is not actually redundant. What is happening now, when you look, they have these permits that they call runner permits. And they put these runners, because runners, you can work anywhere, quote
Okay.
unquote runners. So they put these people in the position without amending the permit, because they're runners, they can work anywhere, and they give them like a $2 extra. So we're not benefiting from all of what is happening. All of what is happening is not benefiting us as Caymanians. We need them to do something that is benefiting us.
Yeah.
Young people coming in on the training programs, when they come in on the training program, they do laundry, they do housekeeping, they do the bare minimum. That's not what we want for our young people. We want them in the offices. These are the places we want to see them. That's what we need to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And they're not
especially if they
seeing.
come with the skill set and the ability to
Right.
progress.
So I
Yeah.
mean, even the kids that are coming from sci-fi, they come into the industry to do training.
Mhm.
You would think they would put them in the office, or they would. No, they're out there in the field, in construction. They're out there in the line staff field, in tourism. They're out there in the line staff field. Why is this happening? Why aren't our young people going into offices to be trained? I can understand the older ones like us. We're past that stage, right? So we can understand that. But for the young people coming out of the schools, why aren't these students going into offices? Why are these students coming into the construction industry, just going out there into the field? Why are they not going into the architect, the engineer? You know what I'm saying? The bigger part of this. Why are we always kids?
Okay.
Why are we like you throwing a dog a bone?
Yeah.
I think we get the bone.
Yeah. In other
And that's
words,
just my
all
2 cents.
occupations should be, even if it's in the hospitality industry, don't pigeonhole them
Wherever.
to, the housekeeping. Not that there's anything
Once
wrong
they
with it,
go for
but
training,
exactly, show them the other aspects of it.
the other side
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
rest of us didn't get the opportunity
Good
to
to
see. That's what
see.
it is supposed to be about. Our young people, they're coming out. Listen, this is my concept. So in Jamaica, I went to school in Jamaica as a Caymanian. I boarded there for school. And so in Jamaica, if you go to class, you have to take the stairs, you have to walk, you have to do all of that. On the flip side, in Cayman, when you go to school, most schools have elevators.
Yeah.
You don't do that kind of stuff. So the kids are coming out with a different concept. They're coming out into the industry. They're looking out for office jobs. They're looking out for these. This is what you train them for. This is what the school is putting them out there to do, but they're not putting them into that position. So I'm just saying, maybe, they should look at it from a different point of view. Look at it from the younger people. Some of us, we're just in it and we have to just deal with it. But for the young people that are coming in, I think there should be, better grounds, and especially those that are in training. I mean, one thing I must say, the DART training program, it's amazing. They go out there, they actually go into every department. That's different from the sci-fi. So, it's something to look at.
But I guess
they could probably take a page from his program. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well, my dear, I want to thank you for being bold, for actually joining the number of persons and speaking up. And I'm really hoping, and I know that the powers that be actually will tune in or have persons listening in. And the hospitality fair that was had, I think, week before last or whenever it was. Let's hope that the persons, because I'm hearing mixed reviews, I think it was 3 days. I'm hearing mixed reviews. I heard that there was one day there was only approximately 7 people. And then like the Friday or something, then they had over 200 and odd persons. So I'm not so sure what happened there. But let's hope.
I think you also have to bear in mind, and I think this is something that the public also needs to know. So for the job fairs are going to be there, but you have to understand these companies have their individual sites that you need to go in and you need to do the entry test. You need to do. So a lot of people probably already applied online, and so they didn't bother to come out because they've already applied. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of people that,
because I don't know what happened.
I didn't go to the job fair.
But these were persons, these were businesses that I've spoken to, and they're like, they don't know where the persons came up. Like the last day, over 200 and odd persons showed up, but like there were like 7 people, and we were like, it was myself and a witness. We were like, you mean 7 persons came to inquire about job opportunities at your organization? And they're like, no. 7
I think it was just
people.
The first day, but the second day it was better, and then a lot of people working too, and so the days is
because I was making sure I understood what they were saying, but apparently it did pick up.
A lot of them, a lot of us, we didn't get the opportunity to go to the job fair because probably we had work or we had other things that we had to deal with. But
understood.
Said, all of these places that were involved in the job fair, all of them, they all have online career sites that a lot of Caymanians don't know. You can go online, you register for them, you apply for the jobs. You can do it through work as well, but even if you do it through work, you still have to go on their job site because it is a requirement. Because these companies are international companies.
Right.
So it is a requirement.
Yeah.
So if you even go to the job fair, take the initiative to go online.
You're still put into the international pool.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Put it out there, apply for them through the site because it's always a system. There's always people dealing with things from. So it's a process.
Yeah.
It goes to this one, it goes to that one. So I would say apply online. When you go to the job fair, they give you their website, they introduce you to it, register, put on the notification, the job, as soon as the job goes up, the notification comes on. It's a great industry for Caymanian. There's a lot of opportunities. You meet a lot of great people. I love my industry. I love my job.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you.
A lot of Caymanians are probably afraid from coming into the industry, but you need to come into the industry
to appreciate it.
Know the industry, learn the industry, because who knows? Airbnb is a big thing. Further on in the future, we all could
Exactly.
Own one, right?
Exactly. And for those of you who may just be, because we have people joining us, it's you are a Caymanian, but you were raised up in Jamaica. And I'm quite sure.
My mom is Jamaican and my dad is Caymanian.
You see what I'm saying?
Both ways.
Okay. So, but good for you for loving the hospitality industry. And, I'm hoping that there's no stereotyping, no stigma comes against you because of how you sound. And that's another thing that's against us here. But I want to thank you for being so bold, for coming on and for finding your voice and trusting this space. And, the takeaway is, you are hoping that the powers at be will consider in the hospitality industry, especially during the slow season, where there are certain work permits that are more seasonal, so that when the season is slow, that the Caymanians are then not placed at a disadvantage, that the Caymanians then will be given more hours because the seasonal workers would be gone. And those who have nowhere else to go because this is home will then still be here to service their guests at a slower time. That's what I'm getting from you.
Yes, and so you mentioned stigma. I want to just let everybody know that there's stigma everywhere in every industry. You just have to be strong.
Yes.
And there's one point key to it. You have to obey the rules. If you don't obey the rules, you're at a disadvantage. You must stay by the rules.
And what are those rules? Attitude, proper attitude, proper...
Right, and most of these companies come with handbooks. Read your handbook. Know your handbook. Just like how you should know the labor law, know your handbooks, read it, follow it, obey the rules. If you obey the rules, it works better for you.
Okay.
So it is an environment where it helps us to get rounded and disciplined. I will tell you that.
Speaking from someone who's there.
When I started in the industry, I started at the Ritz. And the Ritz, they gave me a lot. I learned proper work ethics. I learned etiquette. I learned a lot of things. There's a lot of things you can learn within the industry. Everything that is outside there, it's like a camp. Everything that is outside there is within there. You can be a doctor for the hospital, for the hotel if you like. You can be the house doctor. There's everything there, just like a camp, a soldier camp.
And this is at the Ritz-Carlton. That's why they call it.
No, so it's in every hotel.
Okay. Yeah. The opportunities. Okay, gotcha. So it's just not housekeeping and opening the door, washing dishes. Yeah.
There's a lot.
A lot of career opportunities.
And it is what we grow on. It is what we know, and we're Cayman kind.
You're right.
And I think we should be out there, and I think young people should join. And I think the more of us that are there, it will be better. Every industry is hard. Nowhere is easy.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you obey by the rules, if you just work with what they say, what you sign to, you'll be just
fine. Caller, I want to thank you for your contribution, and I want to encourage you as well. I hope that you have inspired and motivated a lot more Caymanians who are possibly in the industry, feel like exiting, or those who are considering to come in the industry, between the conversation yesterday evening and, of course, all of the discussions that we had here, but mostly important, what you've just said. I'm hoping that they would be inspired, and I want to congratulate you for not giving up. I want to congratulate you for investing in yourself, as you rightfully say, educating yourself by following the rules, reading the handbooks, and just making the best out of it. And I'm happy that you're loving it. You're an ambassador for the Cayman Islands. You know that.
Yes.
We all are, but even those more in the hospitality industry, you have a huge, any frontline person, doesn't matter, from even the supermarket, we're all ambassadors, because you never know who you're serving. And I want to encourage you to keep up the great works. Congratulations to you. And let's hope that more persons will be bold and brave and realize this space is a safe space and your voice does matter.
And I want to thank you for what you're doing.
And thank you. I will, as long as the Lord gives me breath.
Have a good night.
All right. Likewise, darling. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, there we have it. OMG. And we are in overtime. Cameron, what are you saying? Is Ida Caymanian's identity is now found in the heart. And Abby is saying, never heard a Caymanian accent here as a waiter, to be honest. We got the young ones out there. I need to find it, that we have a young 2025 winner, young Caymanian, who has won the champion. And I'm so happy. I'm just so sad that I didn't get to interview her yesterday. But yeah, we have them up and coming, just like we have young mixologists and young chefs, that these are Caymanians. And I mean, when I spoke to that individual yesterday, Mr. Christopher Mason, oh my God, there is hope. There is hope. He was very candid. And this is why, and let me send a message to the youth. This went off somewhere else this evening, and I allowed it to do that because it needed to be heard. And I just want the youth, who I promised you I would be dealing with you today, and hopeful that the youth will call in and be a part of the conversation for next week that I want to bring back up. Only reason why is because tomorrow I have a guest. But I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart that I see you, that I hear you, and I know that you're watching and that you were eager to actually be showcased here. You're appreciating the facts that I'm genuine, that I am giving you a space here at the table. You've seen I've rolled it out as an offering there for Ms. Palmer at UCCI to have young people discussion as a roundtable discussion here. But if you're ever wondering whether or not there's room and whether or not there's a space, I just want you to know that there is a space here for everyone. For everyone, there is a space. And I gave Tisha Swaby my word that whatever is said here will not stop here, that whatever messages we can send forward, we will. And that is being done. Okay. And I'm just hoping, and we're hearing based on other podcasts that we've had, that we are slowly but surely seeing changes being made in certain departments where you have come here openly and aired your concerns and your complaints, and some improvements are being seen. Now let's hope that it continues. We are just not here, just a bag of. You are the ones at the end of the day who are the voice. You are the voters. You are the future. You are the next generation, and everybody's voice matters. And that is what I want you to know about here. And this is why the topics, the importance is so important to me, that the topics make sense, that you take away information, that you can ask questions. And if I don't know it, and I see where it keeps coming up, that once I can find guests who are not fearful of being muzzled or being blackballed in their workplace, but to be a contributor to this space, to educate and inform, I am willing to have them here on the show. And I'm also willing to go and study as well, so that I can inform myself to come back and educate you. But that is my vow to you, that I will always be open, transparent, and entertain your suggestions. And once we can get the people on here, as we continue to build this space, your participation is key. And I'm seeing it continuously growing here. So Abby, I take exactly what you're saying. Darlene, they should be talking to persons such as the young lady talking now. Toxic work environment. Cameron, have to put in the work, that work for real. Yep. And Lindo says Cayman Islands. It's a beautiful place. Cameron saying bring all of them on. They tell you the real challenges facing the youth, and I want them here. Cameron, I want them here. I want them here. They shouldn't be or feel like they're invisible. And it starts. I get a hint that they're catching on and that they know that they're welcome. And we're just going to make sure that it's orderly, and make sure that we create, that they're going to be instrumental in the topics, and that I have no problem moderating. I want to know what they want to discuss, because there's a gap, and we can't take too long before we really give them an outlet, because we're building. Who are we building for? Really and truly, we're building for them. And cost of living is affecting everyone. Access to housing, access to proper education, funding, medical, all of that. And this is the space for it. Errol, praying for the young people of the Cayman Islands to be strong and speak the truth. Yes, Errol, I must agree with you. And Cameron, we've all had our chances. Too late to fuss now. The next generation is the new cornerstone. Well said. I agree with you. But before I'm about to wrap up. I'm in overtime. I want to speak plainly, and I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that you all used this opportunity this evening. Because we have identified now that we can't keep whispering about what we deserve. We can no longer, you can see it's not getting us anywhere, keep folding our truths into silence and hoping someone else will unfold them for us as Caymanians. Siobhan made an appeal. It's not only her one. The young Caymanian called in as a motivation because of Siobhan. And people may say, oh, she went on too long. Why did Sabrina make her go on so long? But for the amount of comments that I got, you guys were thanking her, because she was a voice that was saying a lot of things that a lot of you can't say. that a lot of you can't call in and say, right? And it's people like her, but we need more. We need more. And I'm letting you know that the Cayman Islands is our home. And if we want a better way of life, we must first believe that we're worth of it. And then we must speak it. And we must stand in it. And there ain't nothing wrong in demanding it. And let me make it clear. Openness isn't weakness. It is the first act of courage. It's how I can put this now. It's how we name the things that hurt us, the system that is failing us, and the dreams that we've been told we're too big for or shores, really. It's how we reclaim our very own dignity, not just in policy, but in our everyday life, in how we treat each other. Let me repeat that. In how we treat each other, in how we show up for each other, our elders, our workers, our artists, and our healers. I know it's not easy. I can write a book. I know some of you are tired. I hear Island 2025. I got one living in my house. Not that he not trying. I know that you're tired. I know that the parents are. The parents are almost losing hope. But I also know that silence has never protected us. It has only delayed the reckoning. So tonight, I ask you, where can you be more open? What truth have you been carrying that deserves to be aired, that deserves the light, that deserves the attention, that deserves action? And that goes for every age bracket. I need that to stay at the forefront. We can no longer remain silent and expect things to get better. We can no longer put a blind eye to accountability. We can no longer think we're going to snap our fingers and buy our way through anything. The truth will set you free. And we deserve much better of ourselves, of our leaders, and everyone in high office. But we can no longer remain silent. And there are ways that you can air it. And it starts today. Damien, speak up or be muzzled. It's bad out here for us Caymanians, and it's even worse for some of the expats. Courage. Say it again, says Cameron. Stand firm when the seas get rough. It's a sober reality, but the more and more we stick our heads in the sand and think it won't affect you, think about what it's doing your sons, your daughters, the next generation. Is the acting out in schools really a reflection of what's in their surroundings? Are those who are absconding, what are they running from? Who's not listening? Who's not processing what they're saying? We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the next generation. And I'm hoping, by ways of this medium, your continued participation, and I am this evening putting a public appeal out to anyone who could give of their time, give of their service to be a contributor here, so that we can assist in bridging, in reaching, giving hope that this is the beginning of a new dawn. Until tomorrow, stay safe, never give up, always have hope, and God bless. That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.